Naveen Hegde is CEO, founder and CEO of Octomac, which is a very synonymous in the pre-construction or pre-building engineering. His company was the first one to build a SEC in Belgaum in aerospace industry. He's also associated with a lot of charities. One of the things that he tells me is that uplifting the underprivileged children is his main focus, and also creating awareness about terrorism. And then we got Sanjay Bichu. Sanjay Bichu also represents 1985 Mechanical. He is the CEO of Allcast, a automotive company located in Belgaum. He's been founder of that company / CEO / owner for the last 24 years. They also have a unit in Germany. I will let them dig deep into what motivated them to join with us and what's their ideas, how we can take the UVC Foundation to next stage. One other panel members that I wanted to have here was Manu Murthy. He couldn't be here because he's busy trying to create the evening entertainment for us. So in fact, he's working for us as we speak. He has sent us a pre-recorded video. Before I let other panel members talk about it, I'd like Satish to play that pre-recorded video.
Anamurthy here. I'm here today to spend a little bit of time.
First question is to BV Jagdish. BV, you've been a speaker at many big schools. You get invited all the time. It's not that I'm jealous. And then you also given to a lot of charities. What motivates you to do that? And then my second question is, you've been a guest lecturer at Santa Clara University. You have seen some of the best schools in the world. So how do we rank up compared to those schools? And then when you give to charities,
so many other institutions where people spend hundreds of thousands of rupees to get their education. So we have to be really grateful for what this institution has given us. So giving back to my alma mater, it's something that I've been associated with for quite some time. I've done quite a bit of work with National College for quite some time. And we have also been fairly well associated with UVCE since 2000 as well. In fact, when I came and visited UVCE in 2000, it was so exciting to meet the then principal, H.N. Shivshankar, who took personal interest in inviting me and having me speak to the current generation of the students, having them to interact with me, and that's what led to us taking on various projects at that time. I mean, seeing an engineering institution which did not even have an internet connection, just like kind of a very sad thing. So the first project we kicked off in UVCE back in 2000, 2001 is to actually provide an ISDN-based internet connection so that students have some basic connectivity in exploring the new world of the internet. We also kicked off another project, which is pretty fascinating actually, which is something that is my dream to bring into the Indian universities, something that lacks tremendously, which is providing education not for the sake of education. Getting education because you are learning something that gives a shift in your life. So what we did was, we created an entrepreneurial contest for the final year B students. And we received about 15 or 20 different ideas. And each group was about 5 or 6 students who presented different ideas. And I brought a panel of judges who came from venture capitalist world, other investment world, and technocrats, and so on and so forth. So we had a panel of judges, and we spent almost like 2 days, and we awarded 3 winners, and it's fascinating. The winner, the team that got the first prize, actually talked about, this is back in 2000, 2001, in UVCE, talked about how to build smart meters. Today, that smart meter is becoming a fairly large market. So here is a group of students, almost 10 years ago, right, had the vision to talk about what a smart meter is and coming up with a design, presenting a business idea as to producing the product and how do you translate that into a business. These are the kind of things that shifts in the thinking of students just by-hearting their subject versus applying their knowledge, applying their thinking, and doing something that makes them, into a real-life person. Unfortunately, one of the most disappointing things for me personally is any time when you associate yourself with a government institution, when there is a change of management, when there is change of principle, you completely lose touch, because it all depends on the drive of that one individual. The next person who comes in, who takes that responsibility, if he does not have the same drive, you pretty much lost the connection. If only we had continued some of these programs that we had kicked off, I can guarantee you UVCE would have been in a different situation today. So I'm very interested to kick these programs off, even today, and as I always say, this is a two-way street. I would like the university, the officials in the university, the principal, the head of the departments, to show equal interest to work with people like us. I can guarantee you, all of you sitting here as alumni, I can guarantee you every one of you will step up and help your college. I don't doubt at all. In any form, it doesn't have to be financial. It could be financial, it could be time, it could be your expertise. You would do everything possible to ensure that UVCE thrives. Because at the end of the day, when you tell someone that you are from UVCE, you want to be very proud of that. Just like an IITian, when you get into a conversation with an IITian, within 5 minutes of the conversation, an IITian will make sure he will mention that he's from IIT, right? We should do the same thing. Why should we be ashamed of? We have to be very proud of the fact that we are from this great institution, and we can make that happen. In fact, I saw an ad which basically said, plant a tree so that our children can enjoy the shade. This is precisely what that is. Build a school, build a university so that our children can get the benefit, can enjoy the benefits. It's not just us, right? Because we need to pass this on. And that is what drives me, and that is what makes this whole giving back so exciting, so interesting to me. And my advice to any of you who want to give back, it is not just the money. Don't just write a check, because that may not mean a whole lot. You need to actively participate. You need to ask questions. You need to make sure the money that you are giving is being put to use the right way. Pick some projects and ensure that these projects are executed and delivered. That's when gives that satisfaction. No matter how small it is, it doesn't matter. It may be small, it may be big, but the impact you create, you make to the students is massive. So that's what my advice is. And I would love to, share more of my thoughts, perhaps maybe after the rest of the panelists talk.
Okay. Thanks, Jagdish. I'll come back to you on that one about the projects and other things. So my next question is to Naveen Egde. Naveen, when we spoke last week, not last week, about 3 days back, you had various set of ideas, which I thought were all very, very brilliant and very appropriate ones. I want the audience to hear what your ideas are. So if you could elaborate that one, and then other thing is, my same question that I ask Jagdish, what motivates you to give back, and why UVCE, and why you want to associate it with UVCE Foundation?
Now we have assembled here, and we are here to discuss basically regarding giving back to your alma mater. Well, it is a small bit which we have to give for what the big thing the alma mater has given us. So in fact, Mr. Jagdish, I think, has spoken enough regarding what you can do and what you can contribute, whether it is money, funds, or your time. Basically, time means we don't mean quantity time that you sit 24 hours. We want quality time. With your experience, expertise, you can share with the existing students. You can come in as maybe guest lecturers, impart the knowledge you have gained to them, and shape their future, how they have to go about. You can also pick up some research projects and sponsor some projects in the college. You can also, of course, there are a few lucky entrepreneurs who are doing very well. They can also give a little bit back to the alma mater by maybe offering placements and also training in their own organizations. And I was just thinking, I was talking to Rajiv yesterday. In fact, let me tell about myself. I have passed out from UVC in 74, civil engineering, and then went to IISc. 76, then I left Bangalore, and unluckily for 20 years, I lost touch of Bangalore. I was not in Bangalore. I didn't meet any one of my classmates, and then thanks to one of our classmates sitting in US, he started emailing all our classmates, and 90% attendance was there here 5 years back. And we made it a point that every year, our batch of 74 civil meet every year, and we have been doing that regularly and very. And this has given me a lot of interest that I should meet all our fellow UVCians. Even about this mega reunion, it was just 7 days back when one of the organizers approached me. That was Manju Murthy, thanks to him. And then, of course, Rajiv Chamraj. They said, why don't you sponsor something? I just took 1 minute. I said, yes, let us go ahead. And again, as Mr. Jagdish said, it's not just the money. It is the quality time which you can give to this, your alma mater. So it's a small request to all of you that whatever small you can contribute, either by way of funds or by way of time, useful time, all of you should rise to the occasion. In fact, I was making just a rough estimate, a wild guesstimate, where if you take all the earnings of the UVCians, annual earnings who have passed out in the last 40 years, I think it should be close to 5,000 crores. Yes? So if we resolve that every one of us put 0.5% of our last year's earnings to the foundation, you'll be collecting 25 crores. Can we not start this? Yeah. At least people all over here who are sitting, if they resolve on this new year that 0.5% of our last year's earnings we are going to contribute. You make a beginning, you may get maybe a few crores. So that is one of the suggestions. There are, of course, because it's not that a person has made a lot of money or is flourishing in his entrepreneur, only he has to contribute. Every single one of you, it's a small percentage. Everyone is doing a small percentage. You are helping your alma mater. So with this, I would like to conclude, but please, all of you all come forward and let us work together. Thank you.
Naveen, thanks for that suggestion. One of the panel members that I wanted to have today was Dr. N. Prabhudev. When I first talked to him back in August, he said, let's do this thing in a partnership way. I think he was alluding more to public-private partnership. He was mentioning that, let's create a steering committee at the university level and surface all the things that needs to be done at the UVCE and see how best we can spend the money that we collect in a very transparent way. I think one of the examples that I gave him was the IIT Heritage Fund, IIT Bombay Heritage Fund. They have done such a fabulous job. They collect money, they publish the reports, they publish what projects they undertook, how much they spent, everything. These days the communication is so easy. You could be sitting in any part of the world and keep monitoring it. So unfortunately, he had a family issue that he wanted to attend, so that's why he left. And the other person that I wanted to have on the panel was Dr. K. Jairaj, Additional Chief Secretary. He was also one of our motivators back in 2002, when we started this foundation. Madre, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಏನು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬಂದು ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ರಿ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. So our time has come to go and approach him, all the help that we need. So unfortunately, because of the scheduling problem, I think this session was supposed to start at 12:30, and it's starting at 2:30. So these two gentlemen could not be there. I think the exact point that Naveen made would have been a very interesting discussion with Vice Chancellor as well as for Jairaj. To be very specific, the VC has invited back few of us tomorrow for a meeting. He wants to take this initiative, and then he wants to implement some of these things in the next 10 to 12 months. So he doesn't want to lose any momentum. So whatever that we can do to strengthen his hands and strengthen our resolve that we need to give back to UVCE will really change the face of UVCE. I earnestly request all of you, don't take the attitude, ಏನು ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ. See, when Madhav and I started thinking of this mega reunion, not just Madhav and me, it's also Sridhar Gowda, Satish, and a lot of the 40 volunteers, young volunteers. Some of these volunteers are just graduated from in 2008 and 2009. The ink on their degree certificate is not even dry. They've all started to give back, and it puts us to shame, some of us. We only thought of UVCE after 14, 15 years of our graduation. So I think, we got the momentum. Let's build on this momentum, and let's see how far it takes. As I was alluding to, when we thought of doing this mega reunion, people said, "ಏನ್ರಿ ಗೊಮ್ಮಟೇಶ್ವರನಿಗೆ ಚಡ್ಡಿ ಹೊಲ್ಸ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ರಿ" ಅಂತ. So it looks like we might have succeeded in doing the exact thing. So if people say that this can't be done, just take the comments, just like one of the founders of HP was saying. Let everybody make a comment, but you as a leader has to make the right call. I don't claim that I am the leader. There are a lot of people who have contributed to it. I think that's the spirit that we need to have. Let anybody say anything. I think we should move forward and make things happen. So my next question is to Sanjay Bichu and to Srinivas. They both are from 85 Mechanical. Sanjay was one of the first ones to call us and say, "Hey, you guys are ventured into a very important thing, which is very dear to my heart. I always wanted to give back to UVCE. Now, how is that we can team up together?" And it's been that group has been thinking for a while. They have collected lots of money. I would let Sanjay talk about that, and also I will ask him the same question that I asked both Jagdish and Naveen. What motivates you to do this?
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks, Rajiv. First, the first part of the question, what we could do for UVCE, there are enough number of things and good suggestions which have come from my co-panelists, which I wouldn't like to go into again. I'm trying to give examples from my own experiences at UVCE today, which have helped me to be where I am. I narrated them to Dr. Chaudhaya when I met him for a short while, some time back. I had a large, you could say, eagerness to learn practical part of foundry engineering. And then I asked Dr. Chaudhaya, could you help me out? He just scribbled out on his letterhead a letter to Dr. C.J. Krishnadas Nair, who was the general manager of HAL. And that note helped me to take a practical training at the best foundry, HAL. on a no pay, no fee basis during off college hours. And that gives so much of a confidence to start as an entrepreneur at a very young age. So such kind of giving, if you can give to the present students. So many of us are entrepreneurs ourselves. So many of us are managing top class companies. And I'm sure that there are a lot of students like us who would also want to learn practically while they are learning theoretically. And this is one difference in education, having spent last 3 or 4 years of mine in Germany. This is one blatant kind of difference between the education system there and here, that they attach a lot of importance also to practical training while you are doing your academics. And this kind of thing, in case if we can give to the next generation by facilitating training, it would be a great job in giving. This doesn't require money, it just requires encouraging and spending a few hours with a youngster, you know. But what kind of confidence it gives to that youngster, only he knows. The second thing, what was again in our tenure, I still remember that Dr. Chaudhaya revitalized the student chapter of the Institution of Engineers. And I happened to be a secretary on that. And it worked so well, kind of. For example, we had, I remember, entrepreneurial development program, which this government's TechSoc was invited to do it for the students. There may have been only a handful of students who had the fire in their hearts to become entrepreneurs. I was one perhaps amongst them, but that gives so much of a push, you know, to fulfill your dreams of being an entrepreneur. So there are a lot of things which we could do which is just not money. There are a lot of things which we have in ourselves which we can give. Another thing what goes back this is the industry institute interaction. We have got so many problems in our own industries which the regular people in operations are not having enough time to look at. Why don't we go to the institute and tell the boys that this is something which we are not finding time. Why can't you all put your head and come up with a solution? This gives so much of a pride to the student and gives so much of a confidence in the student that today my ideas have worked. This is another way of giving back to the college. These are simple things, and us having now achieved certain position in our businesses and the society, this is something I think we should do and try to make a beginning. It's not going to cost us anything. The third very important thing is being a brand ambassador of your college, you know, whether you can help out a co-alumni. So many of us are in the government today, chief engineers, superintending engineers, you call it, and then they are there. And then there are other entrepreneurs who have got a lot of things which are getting, you know, which are held back in the government for various reasons. Why don't we help each other as alumni? It can, in case if one UVC alumni can help another, that would be something which are doing great for the alumni and trying to get the whole UVC alumni up in the society. This is one thing which I had in mind. This is also one thing which we could do. Last but not the least, there are two things which strike, and this is where I would like to congratulate Rajiv